And we are following breaking news right now. At least 2 people are killed at a California car dealership after what police call a workplace shooting. Now, investigators say shots were fired tonight at the Ford dealership in Morgan Hill, which is just south of San Jose. Police did not release a motive, but describe it as a workplace confrontation. They did report the gunman was down, but have not yet released the suspect's identity. Hello, everybody. I'm Rick Ritter, and we're following more breaking news, this time out of Washington. Robert Mueller is expected to testify publicly before Congress about his role as special counsel in the Russia investigation. In a joint statement tonight, the House Judiciary Committee and Intelligence Committee, they announced Mueller will testify before both panels on July 17th after being subpoenaed. The testimony is expected to cover the Russia report, which Mueller issued back in April. Now, last month, Mueller said he did not wish to testify publicly about the investigation. The Justice Department has declined to comment on the move. And back here in Baltimore, a record drug bust. Federal agents seize hundreds of pounds of cocaine at the Port of Baltimore, and they say the value of the drugs worth millions of dollars. WJZ is live right now. Avajoy Burnett explains how federal agents say they found this large shipment mixed in with beach chairs. Avajoy.
Well, you know what, Rick? It was 333 pounds of cocaine. Customs and Border Protection say their agents were very vigilant. That's how they were able to find the drugs, about $10 million in street value.
We're very proud here in the Port of Baltimore. Our team was fantastic, very true professionals. It's a record setter for us.
Customs and Border Protection agents say they stopped a massive amount of cocaine from getting out into the streets. Officials say last Tuesday they intercepted 333 pounds of cocaine, 125 bricks hidden in bags on a shipping container at the Port of Baltimore.
It could devastate this city. The goods were, we don't know where the drugs themselves were destined for, but $10 million street value of drugs hit the market. That's a lot of damage that can cause.
Officials say it was mixed in with a shipment of beach chairs from China, which made its way through Panama, up the East Coast, and was destined for an address somewhere in Maryland. The announcement comes just a week after a record-setting drug bust just up I-95 in Philly. 35,000 pounds of cocaine was seized there, more than $1 billion in street value. CBP agents here say they were watching and taking notes in that case, and that helped them to make this bust here in Baltimore just one day later.
As a result of the record seizure in Philadelphia by CBP, we've started to pay a little closer attention to the transiting of vessels and containers through Central and South America. We've always paid attention to those, but maybe a little closer since that seizure in Philadelphia.
And at this point, no one has been arrested, but the investigation into this 333 pounds of cocaine now involves local and federal officials. Live tonight, Avajoy Burnett for WJZ.
Avajoy, thank you. A postal carrier pleads guilty to passing out marijuana along his daily route in West Baltimore. William McCrae pleaded guilty to conspiracy to distribute the drug. Federal investigators say over a 10-month period last year, McCrae delivered more than 100 kilograms, that's 220 pounds of marijuana to an accomplice. Now, investigators say he was spotted in January of last year passing out a package to his accomplice, Michael Gray. The two, they were arrested 10 months later. Gray also pled guilty and now faces 20 years behind bars. McCrae faces 40 years. Baltimore Police Commissioner Michael Harrison announced a new plan to address the recent violence in this city. It comes as the city tops 150 homicides so far this year. WJZ is live tonight. Kelsey Kushner with more on the plan to try and stop a surge in violence that seems to be the new norm. Kelsey.
Well, Rick, Commissioner Harrison says this culture of violence needs to end. Right now, the number of homicides is much higher than it was the same time last year. He says his new plan is putting more officers in those areas with higher crime. Police tape surrounds the playground where a 44-year-old man was shot and killed Monday night in the 200 block of Douglas Court. The number of homicides in Baltimore now above 150 so far this year.
Every time you turn around, there's somebody's getting shot, something, you know, and it makes you kind of leery with your grandchildren. 7
people have been killed across the city since Friday.
That our officers are very often in the right places and at the right times, but violent crimes are being committed anyway, which speaks to a certain culture of violence where criminals do not fear any possible consequences from the criminal justice system.
Tuesday afternoon, Police Commissioner Michael Harrison detailed deployment adjustments and the department's new place-based patrolling strategy in microzones, areas with high crime. Officers now required to spend time in these zones, walking around, talking to neighbors, investigating and enforcing. Some people say it's a start to stop the bloodshed.
I believe so. If they put more officers out here, I believe people would even think, I don't think they would even think about committing a crime because there's officers, too many police just walking around.
But some say it's a tactic that's already been tried. The Baltimore Fraternal Order of Police released a statement comparing Harrison's plan to past efforts and calling into question officers' ability to respond to calls, saying in part, less police officers and more zones to cover clearly means a thinly stretched patrol division. Others say it's up to the community to help out.
It would help a little bit, but we all got to pull together. The community and all of us got, to help if we can.
And Commissioner Harrison says they will reassess and readjust officers in those microzones as needed. Reporting live tonight, Kelsey Krishner for WJC.
Kelsey, thank you. Jared Ramos, the accused killer in the Capital Gazette attack, is granted an extension by a judge as the court awaits his completed psychiatric evaluation. Now, the 39-year-old faces 23 charges, including first-degree murder, after prosecutors say he opened fire inside the Gazette last June, killing 5 people. One of his defense attorneys had a death in the family and couldn't be in court today, so the judge postponed some motions involving his tax and jail records. Jury selection is set to begin in late October. And tragedy in Frederick County today when a lifelong volunteer firefighter suddenly passes away. 70-year-old Michael Powers was a member of Libertytown Volunteer Fire Company for decades. Firefighters, they paid tribute to his life as they drove his body from Frederick to Baltimore City tonight. They say Powers was called to the scene of a car accident today and suffered a medical condition while clearing debris from the roadway. Baltimore firefighters gave a special salute to the longtime fireman as his body was taken to the medical examiner's office in the city this evening. And a WJZ update tonight. Baltimore City Housing Authority says water has returned to all residents at Poe Homes and the pressure is back to normal. Officials say they installed nearly 300 toilets in 24 hours. It comes after a valve issue last week left dozens at Poe Homes without running water for days. Now, crews had to set up a temporary line to get water to residences during repairs. DPW says water quality is well within safety standards. And new tonight, members of the House of Representatives pass a $4.5 billion bill aimed at protecting migrant children in federal detention centers. It follows reports of children lacking food and basic sanitation at a facility in Texas. Natalie Brand has the very latest for WJZ from Capitol Hill.
Hundreds of migrant children were moved out of this detention facility in Clint, Texas because of filthy conditions. Today, Customs and Border Patrol sent around 100 of them back. This as the House of Representatives passed an emergency aid bill that would try to boost standards for basic needs and medical care for migrants, especially children, as well as reinstate humanitarian aid to Central America cut by the Trump administration.
And yet last week, the Trump Department of Justice argued in court that the government should not have to provide children in custody with soap, toothbrushes, or beds. This situation is child abuse.
But Republicans who oppose the House bill argue the crisis stems from the underfunding of agents and officers who are overwhelmed at the border.
If you don't provide resources to ICE, where are you going to put the children that you say you want to take care of?
The White House tells CBS News the president would veto the House bill because it hinders the administration's ability to enforce immigration laws and protect children. The White House prefers the version of the bill crafted by the Senate with bipartisan support. And today, acting head of Customs and Border Protection John Sanders announced his resignation just 2 months after taking the job. Acting ICE Director Mark Morgan will take over. Morgan pushed back against some of the criticism in an interview with CBS's Jeff Pegues.
I just don't agree that it's egregious conditions like a systemic problem.
What word would you use?
I would say that there are always challenges. We should always try to get better.
Morgan, like President Trump, places much of the blame on Congress for inaction. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Well, it could be a record-breaking year for air travel as TSA is expecting to screen the most travelers in its history. TSA says it is estimating about 10 million more air passengers and crew this summer compared to last year. BWI's one-day record was set a few years back at 42,000 passengers. TSA officials believe there's potential to break that record this summer as well. Some young baseball fans in Baltimore County are teaming up with police officers to train at the ballpark. The 4th annual County Police Baseball Camp is now underway. Precinct 12 in Dundalk is hosting the camp at Merritt Point Waterfront Park. The week-long camp focuses on underprivileged and at-risk youth from 8 to 14 years old. There are skills and drills in the morning and then games after lunch. The camp was started back in 2016 by Officer Spike McElfish, who once played in the minor leagues for the Cleveland Indians. Well, still ahead, a major U.S. city takes an unprecedented step of banning the sale of electronic cigarettes. Details on the decision. Plus, a growing mystery after disappearance of a college student over a week ago. Why police are questioning a Lyft driver now.
We've got the lineup for this year's combined Baltimore Book Festival and Light City. I'm Rachel Menitoff in Station North with a look at some of the festivities that you can look forward to.
Some very warm and increasingly humid air headed our way this week. Could be pretty tough by the end of the week. We'll take a look at that 7-day forecast coming up.
A massive cloud of thick black smoke rises over a town in southern Spain. It happened after a fire broke out at a chemical factory. The industrial area where the factory is located was evacuated. One person was treated for smoke inhalation. No word on exactly what caused the fire. Well, a war of words between Iran and President Trump. Iran's president calls new U.S. sanctions outrageous and idiotic. The latest sanctions signed by President Trump target Iran's supreme leader and 8 of his military commanders. A spokesman for Iran's foreign ministry says the measure equals a permanent closure for diplomacy. President Trump has warned any military conflict would result in Iran's obliteration. And a developing story out of Utah. Police in Salt Lake City are searching for a University of Utah student, Mackenzie Lewick, who disappeared more than a week ago. Investigators say these security camera images are the last known images of Lewick. She landed at a Salt Lake City International Airport around 1:35 a.m. on Monday, June 17th. Now, police say she texted her mother at 2:01 a.m. to let her know she had arrived. About 40 minutes later, Lewick took a Lyft car from the airport to her park, arriving just before 3 a.m. Now, the Lyft driver says Lewick met up with someone in a car at the park, and she did not appear to be in any type of distress.
We cannot confirm the make and model of the vehicle that picked up Mackenzie or the description of the person at Hatch Park on June 17th. The description we have is vague. It could have been a male or a female.
A family spokesperson tells CBS News police are looking into Lewick's dating life and her use of dating apps. Salt Lake City police say they are searching the park and have issued multiple search warrants. Attorneys for comedian Bill Cosby file an appeal of the sexual assault conviction that landed him in prison. They claim the conviction was simply flawed, saying the testimony by his victim, Andrea Constant, was different from statements by 5 other accusers who testified in his trial. The 81-year-old comedian was convicted last year, and he's now serving a 3 to 10-year sentence at a state prison near Philadelphia. Is Instagram listening in on your conversations? It's a good question. Some users claim they mention a product in a conversation, and soon after, an ad then for the product pops up on their social media timeline. In an interview with CBS This Morning's Gail King, Adam Masiri, the head of Instagram, says there's only 2 ways those ads are popping up.
One is dumb luck, which can happen. The second is...
Repeatedly, but go ahead.
Repeatedly. The second is you might be talking about something because it's top of mind, because you've been interacting with that type of content more recently. So maybe you're really into food and restaurants.
Yeah.
You saw a restaurant on Facebook or on Instagram. You maybe liked the thing. It's top of mind. Maybe that's subconscious, and then it bubbles up later.
Now, Masiri insists Instagram is not spying on users and that listening to private conversations is problematic for many different reasons. San Francisco becomes the first major U.S. city to approve a ban on the sale of electronic cigarettes. The crackdown is aimed at reducing teen vaping. Now, the CDC found a 78% surge in e-cigarette use by teenagers in just a single year, this from 2017 to 2018. Now, the ban will take effect in 7 months, giving stores time to clear their shelves. And for the second year in a row, Allstate ranks Baltimore drivers the worst. Yes, the worst in the entire country. The annual report identifies which of the 200 largest U.S. cities had the safest drivers, and, well, Baltimore came in last place. The ranking is based on the average number of insurance claims per driver and an all-state app that monitors driver behavior. Drivers in Washington, D.C., they are the second worst, while the best drivers are in Brownsville, Texas. Well, we are getting a sneak peek of this year's combined Baltimore Book Festival and Light City, which WJZ, of course, is a proud sponsor of again. This year's theme is Brilliant Baltimore. Rachel Menentoff has a look at some of the upcoming festivities.
While the Baltimore Book Festival has been a staple for more than 2 decades, Light City is going on its 4th year, and now the two are becoming one.
We have combined the cerebral interest of the book festival with the cultural and artistic wonder of Light City.
The Baltimore Office of Promotion and the Arts says the two efforts will merge for more impact, energy, and entertainment.
We are often portrayed as a city that's down in the doldrums. What this shows is that no, we are so vibrant, alive with art, with culture.
WJZ is a proud media sponsor, and our very own Denise Koch was the MC of Tuesday's announcement.
And it is a hot time summer in the city today, but we are thinking November this morning.
Of course, the big question is always who's coming. Some of the guests include celebrity chef Carla Hall, New York Times bestselling author Dave Cullen, and Hollywood actor Hill Harper.
Waterlight graffiti.
20 artists from around the world will display their work by the harbor and in neighborhoods around the city. 9 of those artists are from right here in Baltimore.
It's fabulous.
And new this year is the Neighborhood Lights Community Grants.
10 Baltimore City neighborhoods will be awarded a $5,000 grant to shine a positive light in their community with programming during the festival. Can we get a clap for that?
Applications are open, and you're encouraged to start brainstorming.
We're showing the rest of the world what Baltimore's made of.
The festivities kick off on November 1st and run through November 10th, and we'll be sharing more updates throughout the summer. If you'd like to learn more, just check out this story on our website at WJZ.com. Reporting from downtown Baltimore, I'm Rachel Menentoff for WJZ.
I'll tell you what, if Light City was this week, boy, it would be hot.
It would be pretty
crazy stretch that we have here over the next couple of days.
It seems like Artscape is like the hottest weekend of the year. For some
Every
reason.
year it does seem like that, for sure.
This is going to be like in November, I hear.
Yeah, November, that's what they're saying.
Cool,
yeah,
I hope.
Be beautiful.
May even snow, who knows?
Oh, don't say that. Come on, Bob.
It could happen. All right, we've got some more temperatures, increased humidity later in the week. Today, tonight, beautiful out there. I hope you got out there tonight. The humidity did drop a lot today compared to yesterday, even though we got up to 91. It actually was very dry this afternoon. Right now, Mike checking in. If you like cool conditions in the summer, in Oakland, it's only 62 degrees. They only got up to about 70 this afternoon. Really not much in the way of the heat out in Garrett County. 74 out at the airport. The dew point still low. Even this late at night, 63 is quite low, particularly for this late at night. Winds west at 5, the barometer 2995, currently on the way back up again. 82 still in Annapolis and D.C., 81, 63 in Oakland officially, 68 in Cumberland, 70 in Fredericksburg. Pretty pleasant night. 76 in Ocean City. Some spots still pretty warm there. Rock Hawk still checking in at 79 degrees. And the dew points, however, for the most part, the low to mid 60s, even some upper 50s. That is some pretty dry air. Now, once you get up to about 70 to the low 70s with temperatures anywhere from 85 on, then you're going to feel the heat and humidity. And later this week, we'll probably have some dew points back up in the upper 60s, maybe even low 70s. So by Friday and Saturday, that's really going to feel hot. Radar, totally clear scan, nothing to look at all. We do have some high clouds that move through the region, but generally clear skies, no precipitation. We may have a few showers by the end of the week across the mountain areas, but we're not really expecting any precipitation around here all week long. So really a rain-free week, but it'll be pretty hot, yeah, and pretty humid by the end of the week. Tomorrow, a day pretty much like today. It'll be about the same temperature, but still rather comfortable humidity. By the time we get to the end of the week, the winds start going back a little more to the southwest. That's going to allow somewhat higher moisture, higher humidities. And by the end of the middle of the weekend, perhaps a shower or thunder shower can probably be with us. Overnight tonight, mainly clear, comfortable, 65 degrees, nice night. Tomorrow, partly sunny, but moderate humidity. I think the dew points tomorrow may be 65, 66, the high of 92 degrees. That's well above our normal, which is 86. 94 on Thursday. becoming more humid, very hot and humid on Friday into Saturday with some scattered storms again on Sunday, and then cooling down from Monday and Tuesday back in the upper to mid 80s, but less humid by early next week. So take it easy the next couple of days.
And not a ton of rain either,
Okay.
which is good. All right, Bob, thank you. And check in with Lynn Bowie and Marty Bass tomorrow morning on WJZ starting at 4:30 a.m. for updated news, weather, and traffic. Well, still ahead, a familiar face and a new face highlight the night at Camden Yards. Mark has the very latest on the Orioles' past, present, and future. That's coming up next in sports.